Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm continuing my quest to string 300 rackets at home in 2025 with rackets 191 and 192, a pair of Pure Aeros strung with the Counterfeit Alu Power that I introduced in the video a few months ago when I think I strung these. I think it's been like maybe 4 months since I strung these, and one was strung with a real pack of Alu Power, and then one was strung with the reel that, based on all of the indications, based on the sticker on the reel shape itself, the slightly different color of the string, everything kind of points to this being Counterfeit Alu Power. But this time he's going with just the reel and both rackets getting strung. Previously they were strung at 52, but now that it's a little colder, he decided he wanted to have one strung at 50 and one strung at 51. He's a former Carolina tennis player that was, even before my time, when I started stringing in 2013, he was already done with school and done with Carolina tennis. That still lives here locally and has gotten back into playing recreational and league tennis here in the last year or so, in the last couple years maybe. Said it's a better cardio than just going out for a run all the time. At least it's a little interesting. And he's also our local USTA, our local area USTA has kind of gotten together and created a pro league that travels around to some of the different facilities, including the Carolina Indoor facility, a lot of the private clubs around Lexington and Columbia, and even some of the public facilities. And they play, I feel like at some point I saw some singles matches, but maybe that was like a one-off, or maybe they just decided this season not to do it. But they play a men's doubles, a women's doubles, and a mixed doubles. And they play Friday night, and it's just kind of a social event to go out and watch. And this guy is now playing that. He texted me earlier this week and was like, hey, you think you could get to me if I need to? One's already broken, and I'm playing tonight, and I've got Pro League on Friday. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Let me know what you need. Lo and behold, he played, and strings broke, and he texted me today and said, hey, can you get them done for me for tomorrow? Because I've got Pro League, and it's either get these strung or he's playing with his wife's Pure Drive that who knows how old the strings are in that, and who knows what strings are in that. I suspect it may be a hand-me-down from his, because I think the first time I strung for him a few years ago was a Pure Drive. But who knows? He needed the rackets done. He's a nice guy. He actually, today was kind of a funky day. I was kind of out of pocket all day at work, all over the place, running some errands and stuff. And he was out of his main office most of the day in Columbia, so we had a hard time catching up. And he was actually in the area of my home and goes, hey, can I just drop them off at your house? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And sent him my address. He dropped them off, and I got home about, I don't know, hour 15 after he dropped them off. And here I am stringing these two rackets. I also played, it's Thursday, I also played last night like he did. And I did not break strings. I am playing the currently unreleased Solinco Confidential Soft, pink, square-shaped. It played all right. I'll wait and see how it does. We don't have a match next week because next week's Thanksgiving week. If I end up playing the match the week after, I'll play it again to see what I kind of got. I was a little inconsistent with it last night. Served pretty well. Off the ground, it was fine. I had good success. Top spin and backhand slice. Overall, played decently, even though I kind of had to alter my game style to fit the string setup. So that's a 16 light from Solinco, which is a 125. Typically, I play a 120 main with a 115 cross. And if I'm not doing that setup, I usually try to stick to a 120. Well, the 125, even though it's a single gauge, significantly, I'm going to go with firmer and less forgiving than a 17 gauge. And I'm honestly pretty sensitive to swing weight. Like, my own rackets are kind of what got me into customizing because I found a pair that I liked by accident and copied that spec for years and years and just carried it forward. I'm not totally sure, but I feel like the way my contact was on my volleys last night could have been a combination of the thickness of the string and the additional swing weight of the gauge. Because off the ground it felt fine. Overhead for serves and overheads served pretty well. I mean, moving the ball where I wanted in the box. Hitting all three serves, hitting slice, hitting flat, hitting kick. Everything kind of worked last night that way and had pretty good success off the ground. Missed a few shots that should have made, just going for too much or just short-arming some stuff. But overall, played pretty well off the ground, played pretty well overhead, but volleys were just rough all night. I think I stuck like 2 volleys all night playing doubles, and that's not typically a recipe for winning at 4-0 doubles unless your partner's volleying well. And ultimately, I ended up probably only covering 20% of the court on volleys and letting my partner take over the other 80 because they were just so awful. I mean, I had a couple like drop volley, drop shot type things coming into the net where they had gotten pushed back, where both of the opponent players had gotten pushed back, and I looked like a genius and I looked like I had awesome touch, but really it was just a fortunate shank that died as it went over the net, and again, fortunately, it had enough power to even get over the net. So potentially, this one could be something I could see myself playing other than pink's not really my color. I do actually prefer the silver of the Tour Bite over the colored Solinco strings. But I feel like kind of regardless of how it goes next time, I'm going to have to see if I can get them to send me a couple sets in 17 gauge to try, because I think that's more my speed as a generality is the 17 gauge. But overall, not bad. And got the match win, which is really what counts. I still don't know if we got the team win. I don't think anybody came through the team chat and announced last night, so who actually knows. But getting close to finishing up on racket 191 here. Fake Alu and a real Aero strung at 50 pounds. And the second one coming up right after it will be fake Alu and a real Aero at 51 pounds. And as a matter of general stringing practice, if you're stringing 2 rackets at different tensions, you want to string the lower tensioned racket first, because as soon as it comes off the machine, as soon as you are finished with it, as soon as you tie that last knot, it's already losing tension. And I've proved that in my dynamic tension series that I will link in the description of this video just to prove it, that legitimately an hour after it's off the machine, it's lost some dynamic tension. But you do the looser one first because it's going to start losing tension, particularly when they're only a pound apart, because it's going to start losing tension as soon as it comes off the machine. So potentially with like a 50 and a 51 like this, if you did the 51 first and then did the 50, by the time they're both completed, they're both probably going to feel the same. They're both probably at that point, by the time you take the 50 off the machine, if you did the 51 first, going to have the exact same dynamic tension, which is not what you're going for. If they ask for two different tensions, it's because they're looking for two different feels. So, pro tip, if you're stringing multiple rackets and you've got a lower tensions go first. Having said that, I'm going to finish up 191 and move on to 192, coming right up. Rackets 191 and 192 on the year complete. A pair of Aeros strung with some Counterfeit Alu Power. First one at 50 pounds, second one at 51 pounds. Like every other time, I label them. That'll help him know which one was strung with which tension. And it also gives him a reminder of the restring date. At this point, we're about 2 weeks out, but by the time this goes live, it'll probably be closer to a week or 10 days out. But I am the official stringer for the Charlotte Invitational for the second straight year. So my plan is to try to make a video of how that day goes, because that's a quick in and out. I pack up a machine, drive up around lunchtime, string whatever they give to me, and bail out about halfway through the men's exhibition that night and drive home. But this year's participants are going to be Francis TFO playing Taylor Fritz and Madison Keys playing Venus Williams. Of the four players, the only one that I haven't strung for previously is Venus, because by the time I started stringing really large tournaments and kind of getting the opportunity to string more premier player rackets, she wasn't really playing a whole lot. I mean, I've strung for her sister, but not for her yet. So that'll be an adventure if I actually do get the opportunity to string for her, because last year it was Sloane Stephens and Madison Keys and Francis TFO and Carlos Alcaraz. And I did some rackets for TFO and I did some rackets for Sloane Stephens. And actually, that's the match where Madison Keys debuted the E-Zone that she ultimately ended up switching to. But I only strung rackets for TFO and Sloane Stephens. But it's a great event. If you're going to be in the Charlotte area, come on out. It's a nice, quick, enjoyable night of indoor tennis. They play one set of men's and one set of women's, but flip the order, one set of women's, one set of men's. It's a good time. And 191, 192 on the year done. Moving on. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.